The Hebrew Bible concludes with the Israelites returning from exile, yet the promised restoration of the Davidic kingdom remains unfulfilled. The historical record essentially stops, leaving the narrative thread hanging for centuries. When the New Testament begins, it doesn't open with an action sequence or a sermon, but with a genealogy, a list of 42 generations of names that modern readers often overlook as a dry administrative record. The opening Greek phrase is biblos geneseos. Translated literally, this means the book of origin, or the book of Genesis. This phrasing functions as a literary bridge. It positions the Gospel not as a new, separate story, but as the direct continuation of the ancient scriptures, resuming the history of Israel at the moment it was interrupted. Matthew organizes this lineage using gematria, a traditional Jewish system where Hebrew letters correspond to specific numeric values. In Hebrew, David is spelled with 3 letters, Daleth, Vav, and Daleth. Daleth is 4, and Vav is 6, totaling 14. Matthew structures the genealogy into 3 groups of exactly 14 generations, reinforcing Jesus' descent from the Davidic line. Within this rigid structure, Matthew includes 5 women: Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. This was a significant departure from patriarchal genealogical customs, especially since several of these women were Gentiles or had backgrounds marked by social scandal. The numerical structure establishes Jesus' royal credentials, while the inclusion of these specific women indicates that the boundaries of this new kingdom are more inclusive than the social standards of the time. To define the role of this new king, Matthew utilizes typology, a literary method where historical figures and events from the past are used to describe a present reality. The Gospel highlights specific parallels between Jesus and Moses. Both survived an infanticide ordered by a ruler, and both fled into exile to escape death before eventually returning to their people. The connections extend to their ministries. Just as Moses fasted for 40 days and delivered the law from Mount Sinai, Jesus fasts for 40 days in the wilderness and delivers his primary teaching from a mountain. By following these historical markers, the Gospel presents Jesus as a successor to Moses, who fulfills and expands upon the original law. The narrative itself is built around 5 major teaching sections, or discourses, which serve as the scaffolding for the entire book. These 5 sections correspond to the 5 books of the Torah, the Pentateuch, aligning Jesus' teachings with the foundational structure of Jewish scripture. This structure is marked by a recurring pattern. Each discourse concludes with a specific transition formula, when Jesus had finished saying these things. Throughout the book, there is a consistent focus on exact math and currency, from the 30 pieces of silver to the specific temple tax details. This meticulous record-keeping reflects the professional background of the man credited with the book, Matthew, the tax collector. This attention to detail appears even in complex literary citations. For example, the Gospel blends phrases from Jeremiah and Zechariah into a single prophetic reference, a recognized technique in ancient Jewish scholarship for synthesizing different scriptural layers. The result is a text that combines the precision of an accountant with the literary traditions of a scribe to present a case for Jesus' messianic identity. The narrative portrays the development of a community through figures like Peter, who is given the keys to the kingdom, but is also recorded as faltering in his faith. Matthew is the only gospel writer to use the Greek word ekklesia, or church. This term marks a shift from the history of a single nation to the organization of a living, communal body. After 27 chapters establishing Jesus' identity within Jewish tradition, the final section of the book unexpectedly broadens its scope. In the closing scene, Jesus commands his followers to reach panta ta ethne, translated as all nations or all ethnic groups. Matthew's meticulous use of genealogy, law, and history serves to anchor the story in its ancient Jewish roots, only to reveal a climax that extends the narrative to the entire world.